Hello!
Hello.
Alright, we are live on stream once again. Yes, hello, welcome to another episode of Prose and Pain, now with updated graphics. The show where we read adult fiction of varying quality and dubious content, and we give our true and honest reactions while we do it. So I'm Melinda, and this is my co-host Sonia. Say hello.
Hi.
With slightly stuttering internet quality sometimes, but for the most part it should be fine. Yes, so we're both writers from Australia, currently hiding behind my blanket because here in Australia it is winter. But yes, we have an interest in romance, and we're very, very good at giving our honest opinions on things, and that's what we'll be doing today when we're reading the same book we read last time, which is Seduced by the Wall Street Werewolf by C.J. Howard. Yes.
Good at giving our opinions is a very eloquent way of saying we're really bitchy.
Well, we are really bitchy, so it's accurate.
Yeah.
But yes, so the hope today is that we should be able to get through this second half of Seduced by the Wall Street Werewolf. We made it to about halfway last time, and the aim is to finish it off today. Excellent.
I'm excited.
All right.
Can't wait to see what Marco and woman get up to this time. What's her name? Zoe. Marco and Zoe get up to this time.
So
I bet it's more sex.
In the spirit of that, do you want to give just a quick recap of what the plot's been so far?
Oh, let's see how good my memory is. All right. So there's a guy named Marco, and he's very dominant and masculine and manly, and no woman can ever satisfy him. Not really, because he is a werewolf, and only a she-wolf can truly satisfy a werewolf. So, stumbling into his life comes Zoe, another werewolf, a she-wolf on the run from her rapist, and abuser, I believe. Yeah. They're immediately attracted to each other to the point where they almost instantly run into the woods and have a lot of sex. And then it's just pretty much been chapter after chapter of them boning or laughing about boning or talking about boning or insinuating that they're boning or etc., etc. So that's about where we're up to. I believe at the very end last time they were chasing each other around the house in their dog forms, wolf forms. Sorry, not dogs. Very important distinction. Wolf, not dog. And yeah, now we're come to chapter 5.
Yes.
Are we ready?
I think we are. It is interesting that you brought up. It's interesting that you brought up just how much they have sex. Because I did keep thinking that this book is only about 40 pages. It's really short. And I think it has more individual instances of sex happening or being mentioned than 50 Shades does. And 50 Shades is known for its just stupidly high quality. Not quality, fuck. The opposite of that.
I was like, wow, someone hit you in the head real hard.
Stupidly high amount of just unnecessary sex scenes. And this one has taken the cake.
You saying that 50 Shades is high quality is now on the internet forever. I hope you realize that.
Or
just edit it over with some like Microsoft Sam voice and be like, 50 Shades is really terrible. And
I'll bleep it. I'll bleep quality.
The forbidden words. Yeah, no, it's interesting reading some of these shorter eroticas where it's just like bam, bam, wham, thank you, ma'am. Like they know what their audience wants and they're just pumping that shit out. And honestly, respect, because so many people must start an erotica book and be like, ugh, boring, boring, boring. When do they fuck? Get this crap out of the way. Like, you know, it's like, remember when Dominic Noble was talking about how the scene in 50 Shades, now that you brought up 50 Shades, where they're like going to fuck on the pool table, but she goes through the painstaking motion of describing every single inch of that pool game. Like,
oh, they do.
Seduced by the Wall Street Werewolf would never. They'd just be fucking.
Yeah.
They'd go straight to the fucking, which I respect.
In
fact,
the rest of the scene would get maybe one sentence. Be like, we played a game of pool and then we fucked on it. That would be the scene.
Damn, you better believe we be fucking. Yeah, like, Marco ain't got time for that shit. He's a businessman with important business to do, and that business is Zoe. Anyway.
Yes. Oh, yes. Just a quick housekeeping note. A quick housekeeping note for anyone who is watching this. If you have areas of sensitivity, for obvious reasons, we don't know what we're about to be reading. So I've included currently at the time of streaming, the known or at least highly suspected content warnings from the first half of the book, which, oh boy, there were a few. But yes, if you're a particularly sensitive person, if you're watching this after the stream, we should be able to check down in the description for all the content warnings. If you're watching it live with us, then, well, you can
be horrified along with us.
That one. Anyway, I think we're good to go.
Alrighty.
Shall we kick off into Chapter 5?
Chapter 5, baby!
Gonna get that reader voice on.
Alright. Okay, who am I? Okay, I'm Zoe first, alright. Because she's referring to Marco by name. Okay. There eventually came a Saturday when I realized I hadn't been back to my apartment in over 2 weeks. Jesus Christ. I had spent so much time living at Marco's house that I had all but forgot that I even have a place of my own. I decided I should drop by for a while, at least to collect some more of my clothes, if I was going to continue spending as much time at Marco's place as I was, and maybe throw out some of the food that had probably gone bad by now. That was all one sentence.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, that was a long-ass sentence. I was like, it's going to stop. It's going to stop. No, it's not stopping. It's not stopping. I'm running out of air. I had avoided having to wear the same clothes to work for a while because Marco had proven awfully generous about providing me new clothes out of his own wallet. A she-wolf like you deserves it, he would say. But I didn't want to become a kept woman. After all, that's what Lawson would have had me be.
What is it?
I believe Lawson is the abuser, by the way. So references to
I think
the abuser.
Yes, I think so. But what is it about romantic protagonists? They're like, I don't want to be a kept woman, but I'm not going to like specifically tell you not.
There's a Dan Olsen's videos on 50 Shades go into that really interestingly, where it indulges the idea of you get the best of both worlds, where I think it's Dan Olsen or Dominic, one of the people who talked about 50 Shades, talked about how it's the best of both worlds idea, where you get to keep this like, oh, I'm so humble, oh no, don't shower me with gifts, but then when they force it upon you, it's like, oh, but I get the good stuff anyway, and I get to stay humble, woo! Like it sort of indulges that fantasy, the very Christian fantasy of always be modest, but also I want nice things. Like, bitch, just want nice things. It's not wrong to want nice things, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
Fuck.
Not a lot of patience for it, to be honest, because it's
I have a lot of respect for protagonist women these days who are just like, yeah, I want to have pretty rings and pretty dresses and nice things, like, and have that not be a bad thing, because it's so always portrayed as a bad thing. But like, no, there's nothing wrong with wanting nice stuff.
Yeah.
You do you, honey. You do you. Anywho, the drive back to my apartment was occupied by thoughts of something I hadn't found myself thinking of in what seemed like forever. The future. The last time I looked into the future was while I was still with my pack. It had been right after Lawson told me he was going to make me his wife, and I saw what the rest of my life would be. I was in for a lifetime of being kept in his den, of being forced to please him however he wanted, of being slapped around when I dared to do something for myself, or having to give him as many pups as he wanted and having no say in how they were raised. When I looked into the future then was when I realized I had to get away. Since then, the future had always seemed uncertain. All I could ever focus on was the here and the now. I was only ever concerned with staying a step ahead, always afraid of him sniffing out my trail. All I ever knew of the future was what it would be if he ever found me. Now, I never would have believed it before, but I was actually happy. When I looked into the future now, for the first time I didn't see the hazy road of more running and looking over my shoulder. I saw something more than fear and uncertainty. Instead, I saw the possibility of an actual life. living a life with Marco after everything my life had looked like before was Living a life with Marco after everything my life had looked like before was everything I realized I wanted. That was a lot of everything in one sentence.
Oh, damn.
All right.
That was that all
Haven't they
sentence?
known each other at this point for like 3 weeks? I suppose that's still longer than like when Anastasia and Christian got engaged, so
it's also
bar's pretty bloody low at this point.
It is slightly worth noting that whole passage was so pointless. Like, absolutely no comment on your reading ability. It was read very, very well, but the writing of it contained nothing of substance, to the point where I realized that we're on the wrong screen and sorted out an issue where
we were given the same information.
Yeah. Yes.
None of that was new information.
But
you know, she's already said that was when she chose to leave, was when Lawson was like, be my wife. And, like, you don't need to reiterate. We already get it. We know. We're across this, you know?
They're telling, not showing. They're telling us that she's happy. We can decipher that with what we already know. But yes, just in case someone would happen to be watching the stream, what the fuck around with the video was that one of the images was not loading properly, so I had to fix that. But yes, that is what I decided to do instead of listening to that fucking section. I was listening, but oh boy, there was nothing to pay attention to in that chunk, was there?
No, you missed nothing.
Oh boy.
Oh, alrighty. It's Zoe again. There's a break, but it's Zoe again. Alright. I shivered when the M word crossed my mind. Is she talking about Marco or marriage?
I think she might be thinking marriage. Because so far he's... Otherwise
3 weeks!
Oh,
I guess it's true love because they have really good sex. That's all you need, guys. Alright, yeah. I shivered when the M word crossed my mind. How ahead of myself was I getting? I had only been seeing Marco a matter of weeks. Yet they had been the best weeks of my life. Now that I was finally happy after being afraid for so long, did it not make sense that I would want to spend my life with the one who gave me that? Yeah, she's talking about marriage, okay. How likely was I to find another one of my own kind in this human world, especially one who made me feel the way he did? I decided I was thinking about this too much too soon. Yeah, you think? I had the feeling that if I told Marco the thoughts I was having, I would only scare him off. I would keep this line of thinking to myself for now. What we had was good. There's no need to mess with it yet. That's a lot of saying the same thing over and over again.
Yes.
I pulled into my apartment building and ascended the stairs to my floor. And as I approached my door, my hackles suddenly began to rise. Something smelled wrong and familiar. Let me guess. He's in there? My hand was shaking as I reached out with my key to the lock on my door. I stabbed at the lock and missed several times before I finally got the key in. I couldn't quite place the smell from here. What was I so nervous about? As soon as I stepped inside, I realized it and went totally pale.
How do you
Someone
know
had been
that?
in my apartment.
Is she looking at herself in the mirror? She's like, oh no, I'm really pale. Sorry. That's like of all the grapes. No. It's just so silly.
No, it's fair enough. It's like when people say that they turn red or something, and it's like, well, you can't. First person is tricky in that way because it's like you can only write what someone can observe. There's this bit in Twilight as an example of it, not to diverge here, but there's a bit in Twilight. Remember in New Moon where she cuts herself on the thing, the paper or whatever, and Edward throws her back into a table. During that scene, she lists everything that goes off the table with her, and it's the kind of thing of you're in first person. I doubt you take the time to catalog everything that is flying off this table with you. Why would you not focus on the feel of being thrown back and oh, I smash into something, but I can't, you can't tell what it is because it's such a flurry of everything, and only after that sort of have a look around and realize what happened.
Yeah,
that's the restriction you choose when you write in first person.
Yeah, you
are writing from the strict perspective of that person. You want to talk about everything that fell off the table, write in third person.
Yeah,
simple as that.
You have to deal with the restriction of being in that head, but at the same time, you get to talk about the innate and intimate feelings, which is why you choose first person for romance because you want to talk about the warmth in your chest or the warmth in your cheeks if you're blushing. In those moments of disorientation, you want to express disorientation. You want to talk about the pain or how you don't know how the room got upside down. You don't want to list everything on a table. And you don't want to describe something as like, I went pale. No, you describe like the feeling that you get in your spine when you just know something is wrong, right? You want to describe that feeling of your muscles not wanting to move because you're so tense. That's the shit you should be doing. No,
first person is like, it's so good for expression. Like if you really want to get inside a character's head, right, in first person. Like if you really want to go into like the sensations and things that they're feeling, you can't write matter-of-factly when you write in first person. Otherwise it becomes boring.
Yeah, if you want to walk that line, you have to do like third limited.
Yeah.
Yes, it's but to be fair, I kind of feel like this should be in third because we're swapping between protagonists, and that's just not something you want to do in first person anyway.
Yeah, it can work, but they have to feel very different when they talk.
You generally have to have a lot of skill as the writer. Yeah, you have to be able to change characters' voice. It takes a lot that every single time we change paragraph, we're like, wait, I'm going to read through and find a fact that has to be from one or the other. Because I can't tell.
I look for a proper noun. I look for one of their names used in a sentence.
Yeah, I was doing that last time as well, being like, I was at Marco's apartment. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so it's not him.
Yeah. Unless he's talking about himself in third person now, like a fucking psycho. Which honestly wouldn't put it that far past him. He's pretty egotistical, from what I remember. Okay. Someone had been in my apartment. That much was clear from the items that had been overturned or gone through. But it was the scent that filled the room that had me terrified out of my mind. It was everywhere, and I would have known it anywhere. Lawson had been here. How is his scent everywhere? Did he piss on everything?
Maybe he just rubbed himself
on everything?
Yeah.
Just
he went into her closet and just like shimmied.
Rubbed his booty all over the room.
He got onto the floor and just rolled around.
That's kind of a funny mental image.
Also, he'd have to pretty much do it naked too,
like a dog that's wet, just like a wet dog just rolling on the ground.
I mean, he's a werewolf. Maybe he was. Maybe he just walked in as a dog and shook.
Maybe. How the hell did he find me? I was sure I'd been so careful. What did I miss? Was there someone who saw me on my travel route who was in contact with him? Did someone in the city see me running around on 4 legs and put the word out about a wolf in the city? Did Lawson follow the rumors and track me down? You know what? I'm not going to get into I'm not going to get into my problems with all of those questions. It's a pet peeve, but I think it's kind of valid in first person when someone just lifts off question after question after question after question. I'm like, or we could just carry on and try and figure it out. Fucking Midnight Sun did this as well. When I hated that book because there's so much of this where he'd be like, oh, what is she thinking? Is she going to say this? And it's like, wait 30 seconds and find out, Edward. She will tell you in a minute. Stop listing off 100 questions. Seek out the answers. Like, a couple are fine, but like, you gotta, how the hell did he find me? I was sure I'd been so careful. And then, you don't really need the rest of that there. Like, you don't really need to point out all the ways he could have found you. Like,
if nothing else,
leave it to the reader's imagination, maybe a little.
Yeah, like it's the rule of threes thing. Like, I have a decent amount of patience for the idea of like the panicked questions you get going through someone's head. So we're essentially doing train of thought writing, which this definitely is. This is train of thought.
And that's
writing.
Fine,
but yeah, this
isn't though. This isn't train of thought writing. This section is. The rest of it isn't. Like, there's no consistency with this first person.
It
goes from matter of fact. It goes from matter of fact to train of thought to matter of fact to train of thought. Like, yes. Are we in this person's head or are we watching them? Like,
But yeah, again,
I know I'm fucking throwing paint at the wall, and I don't know where that analogy was going, but
1, 2, 3, 5. There's 6 sentences there, which is literally double like the max. If you're going to do something like that, you generally do 3. 3 gets the point across. After that, it becomes redundant.
I think she didn't have to put in like the specific things. Like, was there someone who saw me on my travel route who was in contact with him?
Yeah.
Like, just ask the vague questions. Like, how did he find me? Did I miss something? Like, or yeah, and
like, yeah,
you know, did someone sell me out? Question mark. Like, that's enough.
That's all you need.
Just the vague thoughts.
Because the longer it goes on for, the more we lose the timing of the scene, which we're losing, to be fair, because we keep breaking to bitch about it. But I think it is valid. But yeah, like...
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to go into that one, but I was like, you know what? No, I can't leave it alone. I don't like it when first person does that and they just go in... Because you're right, it completely breaks the flow when I'm like, is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? I feel like Dora the fucking Explorer being like, can you point to the bridge? Like, it's that kind of just like... But let people draw their own conclusions.
You know, it's writing rule number 1, where you want your writing to reflect the tone you're trying to convey. If you want something to come across as tense and quick, like, unless you're sitting in something for a long, which they're not, they're trying to be like, oh no, she's panicking, her mind is going 1,000,000 miles a minute. We need short, clipped sentences and not that many of them, because that's what the tone dictates. You're just a bad writer. I'm sorry, CJ.
Wow, this free book is badly written. God, who would have thought? All right, let's keep going. It didn't smell like he was alone either. I recognized the scent of Conrad and Vern. Sorry, but that immediately makes me think of Conrad Werner, which is a character from Mass Effect. I don't know if that's meant to be. Yeah, anyway. 2 of Lawson's bullies. He meant business. And I was back to being afraid again. I turned and I ran. I rushed back to my car. I peeled out of the lot and sped off. Several other cars honked at me as I cut across traffic in my haste to get back to Marco. Look, mate, you're in a car. I don't think he's going to catch up to you while you're in a car. I think you can drive safely. It's okay. I get that you're panicking, but, like, I nearly hit Marco's car when I pulled into his driveway before I screeched to a stop. Slam! And dashed out of my car without shutting the door behind me. Marco! I shouted as I burst in the door. Polo! He yelled back. I wish that was the line. Golden opportunity missed.
Oh, that should have been his surname.
I shouted as I burst in the door. Marco Polo. My voice echoing through the cavernous entrance. Wow, it must be a big entryway. Marco! Marco! I ran through the house, following his scent until he emerged from a room in front of me. He had time to voice a worried, Zoe? Before I crashed into him, engulfing him in my arms as we both fell to the floor. Wow, you just cracked his head on that fucking tiles, I guess.
You crashed that Zoe. So hard, you bowled yourself both over. Yikes.
Yeah, that's dangerous. Don't do that.
I get panic,
unless you're falling onto, like, cushions.
Like, there's panic... And then there's football tackle.
There's panic and then there's crash tackling. Like, that's what that is. To push someone over, you really have to mean it, you know?
Yeah, you do.
Especially if they're bigger than you. I ran through the house, following his scent until he... Oh, blah, 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 past that. The panic on my face must have shone like a billboard. What is that meant to mean?
I guess it's like big and hard to miss.
Simile?
But it's it's also the bad time for a fucking simile that makes your audience go, what? What?
Zoe, what is it? Sorry, Zoe, what is it? Lawson, my alpha, he's here in this city. What? Did you see him? No, but he'd been in my apartment. I could smell it. I don't know why I'm putting on a high-pitched girl voice when I am a girl, but anyway. Your apartment? He knows where you live? I shook my head. Not anymore. I can't go back there again. You know you can stay with me for as long as you need to. But, ... if he found out where you live, he might know where you work too, which could lead... Back to you! I finished the ominous thought. We looked at each other, seeing each other's dread. I buried my face against his chest. I won't do it! I won't go back to being his bitch! He's gonna have to get through me first, he declared. You're my she-wolf now. If he shows his ugly snout to me, I'll make him see that. That's not a very cool line, but anyway. Make him see what? His ugly snout? That's what that sentence implies. Anyway. I smelled more than just him in my apartment, I said. He brought a couple of his goons with him. We're outnumbered. It doesn't matter, he said through his teeth. I won't let him take you. But he didn't sound as certain this time. And if there was any uncertainty in him, then I knew I wasn't safe. Smothering myself against him, I started to cry. Right. Oh, now we're Marco. Okay. I loved making that night. Wasn't the frenzied, passionate fucking we usually enjoy. Tonight it was so... Tonight, it was solely about comfort. Zoe needed me more than she ever had before. I could see it in the way she stared into my eyes as I slowly thrust into her. Her eyes constantly... Why are we talking about her eyes twice? You were already talking about her eyes. You can just keep going on talking about her... Anyway, we're going to be here forever if I keep stopping. Her eyes constantly looking like they might start shedding tears again at any second. And you're still... fucking her when she looks like she's about to cry? Really? Okay.
All I can do
Interesting.
is I just think of that one scene. I'm struggling to remember what exactly it's from, but it's like a guy talking about how, it's like she looks so sad. She looks like she's been crying. Does anyone have a condom? And it's just like, and it's like, and he gets like booed and shunned away. I don't remember what this from, but he gets booed by the people he's with that he's talking to, and that's all I can think. Why are you fucking her if she's so upset? Oh my god.
I could feel it in the way her arms held on to me for dear life, holding her body against me as if she never wanted to let go, even after I released my seed into her depths. She refused to loosen her grip on me. I could barely move enough to extract my softening cock from her. She held me so tightly.
What?
We ultimately fell asleep with her still holding me in a death grip, which she still had me in when we awoke the next morning. That must be so uncomfortable to sleep in someone's death grip.
Sex.
Can I just point that out?
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Say what, sorry?
I don't feel like this writer's ever had sex. Like, increasingly with every sex scene. I'm just like, this is not...
I totally fucked her.
But again...
And then it was so hot.
Nothing strikes me as, like, comfort sex than I released my seed. I'm just like, dude, just, like, there's ways
into her depth. Don't forget that.
There's ways to do this.
I just think of... I think of the depths from Dark Souls without fail for some reason. It's like I released my seed into the depths. It's like, ugh, don't put that in there.
You just jacking
You're not
off
putting
into
your dick
a pit?
down there, man. Yep. Yuck.
Lovely.
We took what precautions we could in the days that followed. Zoe formally moved in with me, and I hired a few bodyguards to keep watch around the grounds. Zoe filed a police report about her abusive ex. Why is that in quotations like that's not true? Whatever. Who was somewhere in town coming to get her. We made a personal rule to only become four-legged on my grounds, and only when we were sure nobody could see us. As much as we were trying to be careful, sometimes we just needed to get out and run. And never more so than now. No matter what we did, however, Zoe would never feel completely safe. Even more than when I first met her, she became an incomparably nervous mess. She was tense at all times, messing up at her job, awkwardly stammering when she was asked a question. It was only when I held her in my arms, or when we made love, or most of all when we became four-legged, that she ever seemed to relax at all. I was unaccustomed to feeling powerless. It was obviously a feeling that Zoe knew well, but I was a stranger to it. Oh, okay.
You know what would have been a good plot point? If she didn't want to become the four-legged self. If she linked that to her abusive past, now coming to get her. If she was worried that someone had seen her in wolf form and had reported back to him, that she doesn't want to become a four-legged person anymore, and that's affecting her and affecting their relationship. That would have almost been an obstacle. That would have almost been plot.
Nah. For years, I had grown used to the feeling that there was little to nothing I couldn't do. I had money, I had power, I could make things happen if I wanted to, but I couldn't make Zoe less afraid. I wanted nothing more than to keep her safe, but nothing I could do would be enough. Nothing short of... ... We came home from work one night. I went to my kitchen to pour myself a scotch, to brace myself to talk about her talk to her about the thought that was going through my mind. She stood in the middle of the living room, clutching her arms as if she were cold, and I took a swig of my drink. I'm tired of sitting around and waiting for something to happen, I announced to her. What else do you want to do? I want to hunt him down myself. I want to find him and challenge him directly. If I fight him for you and kill him, then it'll be over. She rushed into my arms, shaking her head. You can't face him. He's an alpha. He'd kill you. And if he didn't, Conrad and Vern would do it for him. If he's a real alpha, he won't use his bullies to answer a direct challenge. He'd have to fight his own battles. He's an alpha because he always wins his battles, she said. What if you lost? Not only would there be nothing keeping him from me, but... She pressed her head to my chest. Marco, I can't lose you. I wouldn't survive.
Just the entire passage. It's just so alpha male bullshit. Literally.
I'm the alpha, babe. Don't worry about it. I'll fight for you, babe.
I am actively shocked that alpha isn't capitalized. He's the strong alpha dude. I'm the other strong alpha dude. I'll fight him.
Alpha.
He's the alpha. I can't possibly fight my own battles. Please don't. For no reason that makes sense, don't advocate for this plan.
Gosh. Be still, my throbbing clunge. I squared my jaw. We can't keep living like this. There has to be something we can do. On that, she looked off to the side, thinking. She stepped away, wringing her hands. Is there something on your mind? I asked. Well, there is something I've been thinking. I waited. What is it? I said. She wrung her hands harder, looking like she needed some of the scotch I carried to say what she was thinking. She turned and looked me square in the eyes. Promise me you won't freak out? Now my curiosity was piqued. I raised an eyebrow at her while she waited for an answer. I can't promise anything for sure, I said. She took a breath. I'm due to go into heat next week. Oh, no.
Oh, no. What?
Okay.
What?
I stared at her, turning over in my head what I just heard. She suddenly turned away, seemingly mortified that those words had escaped her mouth. Are you suggesting what I think you are? She found the courage to look at me again. If I'm carrying your pup, then I'm indisputably yours. Even Lawson would have to respect that.
No.
Oh my god.
No.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
This is so feminist.
I don't remember if I've expressed this before, but I have an opinion that CJ is in fact not a woman. I think this is a male author. Because it could be either.
You said that last time.
Yeah, it could be.
This feels very male fantasy, but to be fair, women's fantasies are so skewed these days. Who fucking knows?
True, but specifically the impregnate to make them that
yeah.
The female version of the fantasy
Yucky.
generally goes, you're pregnant by mistake, and then he comes around to it because he's secretly a family man. But it's not a domination thing. It's it's you can change him, but it's not a specifically I fuck you. I knock you up and therefore you're mine. It's more about the child that comes after the pregnancy and not about the pregnancy itself.
Yeah, for sure. I marched forward and grabbed hold of her shoulders. She shied away from eye contact again. Look at me, I commanded. She lifted her eyes to meet mine. You want us to mate? Are you sure this is what you want? I pointedly asked her. I am if it's with you. My gaze dropped its focus. This was one hell of a bomb she had chosen to drop on me. A woman I hadn't even known for 2 months was now asking me to give her a child. Most people would call that insane. Yeah, and most people would be right. But the more I thought about the idea, the more it made sense. This wasn't just any woman. This was the only woman I'd met in years who actually meant something to me. Not meant. Met.
Honey, we call that the honeymoon period. It doesn't last. In fact, 2 months is generally when it starts to fade, isn't it? So you got about a week left.
Yeah, it's debatable. It's debatable of how long it lasts, but yeah.
True.
And if I didn't father her pup, then her alpha surely would. If it was a choice between that and the alternative, I looked back into her eyes. All right. For the first time in days, Zoe actually smiled. She threw her arms about me and rose up to plant an all-consuming kiss on me. So we just need to wait a week. Oh, that's wrong voice. So we just need to wait a week, I mused. What will we do until then? She grinned. Probably fuck, because that seems to be all you two have in common.
Fucking and running.
All right.
Fucking and running.
That is the end of chapter 5. It is
my God.
now your turn.
It's like nothing happened, but also so much happened. Oh my God. I'm so not down with this pregnancy storyline. This is so disturbing.
Yeah, this is not where I thought this was going to go. I thought there was going to be like a fight with the werewolves, and it might be actually interest. No, none of that.
No.
We can only have wolf babies.
But gasp of intrigue. I think I get to read my first full sex scene. I can pronounce it. Yeah, because I haven't done it yet.
It starts with, I churned my hips back and forth, so...
Yep.
Unless she's making butter in a very strange fashion, I think she might be.
That gets a yeast infection.
Ugh. Slippery.
Slippy dippy. Yep.
Does butter make good lube? I feel like it doesn't.
I feel like it would actually cause a yeast infection. I don't know.
Quite possibly.
As someone who has played around with other dairy products, it takes about 5 minutes for it to just start smelling like baby vomit, so I don't recommend.
Ew.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah.
This is why we don't. Yeah. I'm not for that fantasy. Not a me thing.
This was
food stays on the plate.
This was the whipped cream fantasy, right? Yeah, no, it's not sexy. Because also it melts. It doesn't stay where it's meant to.
Yes.
Have you ever tried to eat whipped cream? It's not a lick so much as it's like a hop. You have to really try. No, not good. Don't recommend. And you get all sticky. So I would call it not successful because you had to go to the bathroom after like 10 minutes and be like, get the shit off me.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing says sexy like having to go straight to the bathroom and be like, ew, ew, ew.
I need a washcloth. That's sexy.
Oh, God. Well, this is your PSA, kids. Don't do that. All right. Are you ready, Melinda, for your first full sex scene?
Oh, I don't think I am ready, but I'll make it through anyway.
It's Zoe's voice first, by the way.
Yes. I churned my hips.
Only because I see Marco's name in the first line.
Yes. I churned my hips back and forth on Marco's lap, reaching down to rub my clit while Marco reached around to palm my tits. Okay, so we're doing reverse cowgirl, I think. Okay,
yeah, reverse cowgirl, yeah. Oh, it's about to explain it to us in great detail.
I'm sure it is. He was seated on the couch while I sat in his lap with my back to him, impaled on his cock. I tilted... Sorry, I tried.
His cock. Oh.
It's stabbing my organs. You know, people are into that.
Oh. Yeah.
I tilted my head to the side when he leaned his head around to kiss my neck. I moaned louder as his fingers began toying with my nipples. Yes, it would still be a week before I was due to become fully fertile. That didn't mean we couldn't start trying early, and I was eager to do all the trying we could squeeze in. It was like something had awakened me in the moment Marco had said yes. It wasn't that I was not still afraid. That's an awkward fucking sentence. But now I could see a way out.
The contraction and was not.
Yeah, right? Double negative. I had actual hope that Lawson...
I'm not afraid.
I had actual hope that Lawson wouldn't be able to take me back, that I could finally be truly free, and what was more, I wanted Lawson to know that. I wanted him to know that I didn't belong to him. Hell, I almost wished he could see me now, with Marco inside me, just to send the message to him that I was someone else's she-wolf now. Maybe that was the reason I felt like I wanted Marco and I to do nothing but fuck for the next week. It was almost like I was on heat already. If I was this horny now, I shuddered to think what I'd be like next week when my libido was due to go through the roof. I rubbed my clit harder, still working to get myself off. I went stiff when I came, savoring the feeling of having Marco's stiff cock inside me for my pussy to convulse around. Ew.
Also, can I just point out the fact that she's getting herself off? Does he not have hands? Bro, what are you doing?
Her tits,
you got
apparently?
Fingers?
Yeah, you got fingers.
You've got 2 hands. One on tit, one on clit. Like, come on, man. You never had sex before. God, this girl's got to get herself off. Yeah, this is definitely a male fantasy because no self-respecting woman would ever fantasize about having to get herself off while her man fucks her. Like, come on.
Yep. It also sounds like she's fucking him. As far as I can tell, he's just lying there being like, boobies. Oh, boy. Oh.
Boobies.
Boobies.
He's just asleep with hands on boobs. Just
I don't want to mess up my hair.
This guy's the worst. Babe. Babe, if you could just take care of that, that'd be great. Thanks, babe.
I'm just gonna sit here, play some Madden.
Yeah, he's just playing COD around. One hand on a tit, the other hand on the fucking controller.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, though, if he can play COD one-handed, that's a bit impressive.
I was about to say, like, it's bold to think he's not just got 2 hands on the controller and is only vaguely aware of what's happening below the belt.
He's using, like, the balls of his palms to just, like, sort of slightly rub her titties, just while his fingers
resting
on
the controller on her tits.
I mean, if the controller vibrates, that's a thing. Like, you know, that's a fun surprise. Just putting that out there.
Now that is an erotica
like,
scene I want to see. Yeah, right?
I was say that's got to be a gamer erotica out there somewhere where they use a controller like that.
Game erotica. You can game
erotica.
Game erotica.
Anyway, I'm interrupting your lovely sex scene.
He gripped my hips tight in his hands, pulling my back end to meet his thrusts. He grunted and thrust a final time, and I felt his seed splashing against my insides. I don't think that's physically possible. He breathed loudly, and I withdrew, and I reached a hand between my legs to rub my slit as his spending dripped from it. I slumped down on the couch.
Ew.
I know, it's just none of this is sexy. Again, a moment to appreciate just how much I hate the word slit.
Slit.
Slit. I feel about slit the way some people feel about moist. Ugh. I slumped down on the couch, and he lay down on a neck behind me, spooning with me, placing a caressing hand on my breast and planting little kisses on my shoulder.
Did we miss a whole section? Did the "oh yeah, fuck me" come up?
Oh, no, we didn't. Fuck, we did. Where did
we stopped at "I rubbed my clit harder, working to get myself off, and I was stiff when I came." Oh, the pussy to convulse around. That was where I think was where we stopped. We missed a whole like section there because I was reading that like, wait, what?
I remember saying he held me tightly, but yeah, I think I just straight up missed an entire section. Whoops. Oh, okay. He held me tightly to his chest as I rode through my orgasm. As I came down from it, he lowered me down onto the couch, face first and on my knees, and resumed fucking me from behind. I laid my head to the side on the throw pillow, looking back over my shoulder at him. Oh yeah, fuck me, I urged him on. Sorry, just needed a minute after that sentence.
Oh yeah!
Yeah, he gripped my...
It's like the Kool-Aid guy. Oh yeah.
I think I mixed up he held me tightly and he gripped my hips. Okay, he gripped my hips tight in his hands, pulling my back end to meet his thrusts.
It's almost like they're very similar sentences.
Okay, skip through it. We've done this one already. He grunts, he thrusts, seed splashing, loudly breathing, slit rubbing, couch slumping, spooning, kisses on the shoulder. Okay, we've caught up. Wow,
Cool.
he breathed against my ear. What happened to you all of a sudden? You happened, I said, reaching a hand behind my... What? I think there's a word missing. Reaching a hand behind me. Behind me to run?
I think it's meant to be me.
My head? Or I don't fucking know. She touches him. She touches him. We simply lay there. We simply lay there for a while, enjoying each other's touch. Finally, he asked, "Want to go for a run?" I grinned wide. "You try and stop me," I beamed, already rolling off the couch and starting to shift. I was on 4 legs by the time my paws hit the floor, and I dashed. I almost immediately heard Marco's paws running across the floor behind me. When I got to the back door, I grabbed the handle in my jaws and pulled, and hurried down the marble steps to the wide yard below. I kept enough of a clear head to run in the direction Marco's security wouldn't see me, but that was where my conscious thought ended. I simply dashed for the trees, feeling the wind in my fur, the ground beneath my paws, the blood rushing through my veins. I looped about.
This may be an odd thing to pick on.
Yes?
But if you were constantly turning into a wolf and running outside, why would you not have a doggy door? Just get a big old doggy door. And you can just whoof, straight out, no problemo. You don't have to, like, awkwardly put your jaws on a handle and go as you try and, like, twist it and then open the door.
How often does he replace the door handles in his house? She would have had to stop there
for a solid couple of seconds. For a solid couple of seconds, she would have had to stop there and turn that handle and pull the door open instead of just whoosh out the doggy door. Just saying. Just saying.
They're not canon about how big the wolves are yet, though, are they?
Just get a really big doggy door.
I mean, people do. People have, like, Malamutes and stuff. Those are big ones, right?
The biggest problem with big doggy doors is that humans can get through them. So people come in and rob your house. But if you get ones that only go out and then you let them back in, like...
Which you'd be able to do.
I mean, in this one, they could turn back into humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could turn back into humans. Once you come back, you could just stand up and open the door.
Or just,
I'm just being efficient here. Like, big doggy door. That's all I'm saying. It's maybe not as sexy, but, you know, it's not a particularly sexy line to say, "We dashed out the doggy door." But, you know.
It's also not that sexy to say I had to open the door with my mouth. And I'm mentally picturing it as a circular handle rather than a, like...
Yeah, it doesn't say knob. It said handle, which means it's a handle of some sort of... It's not a doorknob.
But I prefer to imagine a doorknob. It's funnier.
If you just didn't mention it, I feel like if you didn't mention it, we wouldn't question it, you know? Like, if you didn't bring attention to it, my brain wouldn't have gone, why don't they just have a big doggy door? Wouldn't that make it easier? I wouldn't have even thought about it. So, you know what? Maybe just leave some things up to the imagination.
Yeah.
Maybe he just, like, smashes through windows every time he wants to go outside and he's so rich he just replaces them.
It could be, but I feel like his security team might come running at a smashed window, which also, that's the one thing I'm not getting. How are your security teams so awful they don't notice wolves running around?
Must be the wind. Woo!
Like, you don't have security cameras inside as well? Surely.
Yeah. Are they just on the perimeter? Because that's not very good guards. Anyway, I'll let you continue.
Alrighty. I looked about, moving this way and that through the trees until Marco pounced on me from behind, and we went tumbling through the dirt. When we stopped, I lay on my back with him standing over me, his front paws on my chest, staring down with his wolf's eyes at me. As one, we shifted back to 2 legs, and he leaned down to kiss me. I spread my legs, eager for more. We still weren't safe. I knew that. But I was finally daring to believe that we soon would be. It was only a week. We had made it longer than that already without hearing any more from Lawson. And we're changing perspective again. Lovely. I don't know what sexual demon possessed Zoe in the ensuing week. It was like she wanted to spend every minute of every day having sex, and only lamented the fact that we were bound by the limits of our own stamina. Dude sounds like he's complaining.
Like, ugh, all this sex I have to have. Ugh,
or is it just the tone I'm giving it? Because, let's be honest, I'm complaining. I would have
possibly bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Bit of both.
I would have almost dared to suspect she was worried about missing the point when she went into heat and wanted to make sure we were in the middle of sex when it happened. That's not how that works.
Also, if we just keep fucking forever, eventually.
Alright, okay, here's an actual question. Are they following human pregnancy rules or wolf pregnancy rules?
Well, she talks about going into heat, and
that's a
for
dog
humans... yes, it is a dog thing.
Yeah.
For dogs, yes, that is when they are most likely to conceive. For humans, it's the opposite. It's actually when we're expelling an egg. So...
Yeah.
It's a bit odd. But I feel like they're probably going for a bit of both. I would imagine it's like human gestation period, but doggy heat. If that makes sense.
And I think that's you've just given it more thought than the author did.
Yeah, possibly.
Yes, my endurance wasn't the only thing getting a workout from Zoe's insistence on fucking at least 3 or 4 times a day. At the very least, I might add. Very little work ended up getting done in my office in the ensuing days because she was bound and determined to put the durability of every piece of furniture I had in that office to the test. Dude, where are your employees? Where are your co-workers? What are they doing while you're fucking on every piece of furniture in your work office?
Yeah.
Like, once or twice I get after hours or, like, on a lunch break with a locked door, but, like, every day?
He just has, like, a glass office, and they're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, my headcanon is that everyone in the office knows that this is going on, and they're just like, okay, guys, keep pretending.
Mind my own business.
Pretend you're being subtle. We're gonna play along, but, like, you ain't subtle.
Like, what? You guys are fucking? Wow, we had no idea.
What? That's what that noise was every single day? I thought we were having our air conditioning replaced.
That's what air conditioning sounds like.
Yes, I ended up having to replace my chair after 2 days. We had given it such a workout.
Alright.
If it's like a swivelly office chair, they're not that sturdy. If you're swiveling it back and forth.
But he's an executive. He has a big old executive chair with like the big leather back.
And
you'd imagine.
I'm guessing that the chair is no longer connected to its wheels. You know, the fulcrum. That's the weak point. And wore that bitch out. Yes, I was actually impressed with how well my desk held up. The weekend passed us by without incident. Zoe developed a nervous excitement, knowing that she was due to go into heat any day now. We just had to hold on, and if she had her way, keep fucking like animals. We were in the office one day when Zoe told me she was going to the copy room to make some more copies of the latest report for today's meeting. Nothing out of the ordinary. The part that was a bit different came when Theo stopped by my office while she was out. Hey Marco, buddy, funny thing happening. There are these 2 detectives in the meeting room saying they want to ask you some questions. Theo's the burnout, right?
Yeah. Okay. No, he was the Michelangelo.
Yeah, the bro, jock man. Cool, I picked a right voice then. I sat up straight, raising an eyebrow. Did they say what about? I asked. Not really, Theo shrugged. Maybe they think someone in our firm is embezzling money or something. They kind of had that someone's in trouble look going on. Not to mention a kind of, we're gonna kill someone till they die look to go along with it.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's a lot of expression as well for some hired goons. They just say they really need to talk to you by name and title and everything. And they said it's urgent too, like, get off your tush now, urgent. I was suspicious. That goes without saying.
He is the best. Tush. He says tush.
I suppose now I should have been more suspicious, but I didn't really question it then. What? What the fuck is this tense change? We're now talking in, like, him telling a story in the past. What?
I have no idea.
I was suspicious, that goes without saying. I suppose now I should have been more suspicious, but I didn't question it then. What the fuck is the... Okay, I'm letting it go. I would like to put a pin in there, though. I got up, left a note for Zoe, and headed for the meeting room. And as soon as I stepped to the door, I knew I'd walked into a trap. Yes, there were 2 men in the room here with me, like Theo said. And yes, they were wearing detective shields. They also looked about as intimidating as Theo had described them. One of them was thin with a short black beard and was busy peeling an apple with a rusty knife. Oh damn, that's some imagery.
With a rusty knife.
Specifically, like, it's just the
apple
apple
tastes like
thing.
shit.
Oh yeah. But I'm guessing these people eat raw rabbits, so maybe a rusty apple.
Oh yeah,
isn't...
true. That is fair.
Oh my god. The other had a scar across one whited out eye. He had a thicker build and he was leaning with his fist resting on the table. Looking like he was about to punch through it. Punch it through something. Okay, I'm giving this guy Russian accents. Because, I'm gonna picture them as like bad guys from Die Hard.
How good's your Russian?
Yeah, I'll
they
figure
got that
out.
kind of vibe.
Yeah, these are like bad villains in a very shitty action movie. Still, no matter how mean or intimidating they looked, it was their scent that gave them away. One whiff of them and I knew these 2 weren't real cops. They had the distinct scent of my own kind. Afternoon, Mr. Lupus. That's not Russian, I don't know what that is.
Afternoon, Mr. Lupus. I am Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So it's Austrian. That's like one over.
No, it's not. It's nowhere near.
I'm not good at geography.
Shocker.
How do I do Russian? Russian sits on the front of the face.
Russian.
Das
Svidanya.
Das Svidanya. Oh god, I'm going to end up sounding like a Russian madam. Afternoon, Mr. Lupus, said the thin one with the beard, eating the slice of apple off his knife. The grins on their faces belied any notion of pretense with me. They knew I could tell what they were. Who are you? What do you want? I demanded. We are just curious about you. Oh god. I can't do it without going to Schwarzenegger. We're just curious about you.
We are curious about you.
I'm owning it now. That's what it's going to be Schwarzenegger.
A freeze is coming.
The bearded one said. When we heard one of our kind got as far as you did on his own, without even a pack to back him up, well, call us inspired. Please, enlighten us. How did a lone wolf like you get to be such a big shot? My patience.
I love that these tough guys are just fluffing his ego. It's very like, did you ever see anything about the book Trigger Warning?
No.
That was going around?
No.
It's very reminiscent of that, where they're like, man, you're so big and tough. Like, why are these bad guys complimenting him so much? It's very strange. Like, wow, you're so... It's such a male power fantasy thing to be like, wow, we're tough bad guys, but man, you're cool. Like, yeah, right.
Yeah, Also, I saw a whole bunch of that rewatching Iron Man today. Iron Man just is a male power fantasy with not much else to it, honestly. Don't come for me, MCU fans.
I mean...
I know they will.
Yeah,
well, actually they won't.
Let's not turn this into a MCU slamming session. Let's stay focused.
On track. My patience.
Stay on task.
Yes, my patience was not fit to be tested right then. Don't play games with me! I shouted, slamming my hands down on the table. Okay. Have you actually noticed that every single time someone says, they say that they're saying a thing? Every single time. There's no letting the quotation marks speak for themselves. It's, don't play games with me, I shouted. It's like, it's implied. Anyway, it's just a minor gripe.
Some down there. There's another one further down where they don't say said. It does happen. It does happen.
It does. There's a lot of speech. I said speech again as well. Anyway, This is not important.
Nope.
The scarred one rose from his seat, clenching his fists tighter, even tighter, if that was possible. But his calmer companion put a hand on his shoulder to coax him back down. There's no need to shout, my friend, the bearded one said. I'll ask you again, I said, brooking no argument. Who are you? The bearded one took another bite of apple off his knife. Just think of us as messengers, he said. Oh, Alpha asked us to come entertain you. I'm sure your lady friend has mentioned him. Now I knew for certain what I'd already suspected. You're Conrad and Vern! Yes, Conrad would be my name, the bearded one said, offering out a slice of fruit on his knife. Care for a piece? A horrible realization struck me then. If they were here... Zoe! Vern sprang up from his seat, lunging for me. I ducked down under the table and began pushing up from beneath to overturn it. I was fighting against Vern's weight, but I put enough effort into it to get the table flipped over, slamming it down onto the floor. I nearly brought my head above the long shield of the table and corrected that mistake just in time to avoid Conrad's rusty knife being thrown at my head and for it to embed itself in the wood of the wall behind me. I dashed along the floor to the other end of the table, stripping as quickly as I could mid-motion. I was almost finished getting out of my clothes when two wolves leapt over the table, snarling and snapping at me. Yes, you had a comment?
For a weird moment, I forgot why he was stripping, and I was like, "How is this helping?"
And again, they're just having a fight in his office,
a dick measuring
aren't
contest?
they? Somewhere.
No, it's like a conference room or something.
Which is even worse, because this is the middle of the workday.
It's the same people who have been watching him fuck this woman for like 3 weeks, and now just watching through the conference room as he's just flying around everywhere, and there's these wolves.
I love the idea of his.
It's just like those sort of comedy shots where it's just like completely like ding 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 ding. It's just like quiet out here and just.
I am picturing a scene in my head where it's like two people like sharing a coffee and like, I don't know, a pastry during a break, and just through the conference room they see their boss fighting these two random goons, and then their boss starts stripping in the middle of the fight.
Huh. Well, okay then.
Same crap as always.
Well, I actually prefer this to the fucking.
Where the fuck was I? In the middle of all this just generic action. The one who
Give me just 2 seconds.
Yes?
I'm going to quickly take my jumper off. It's kind of locked on me because of my headset, so 1 moment.
No problem. I will keep the mic alive to stop dead air. This stream brought to you by apple juice, because I have a glass of apple juice. I do love my apple juice. I'm not very good at vamping on the fly, as you might be able to tell, but oh boy, do I sure love that apple juice. Of course, this is...
Apologies for that.
No
Carry
problem. On. Alrighty. The one whose scar gave him away is Vern. Nearly got his jaws on my ankle before I finally shed enough to shift myself. I read that as shit myself. I stood there.
Oh, bad time to take a drink. Shit enough to shit myself. Oh god! The people watching this fight outside like, ah! The boss just did a dump in the conference room.
He got his ankle bitten in the and then he did number 2 on the wolf.
Did a shit in surprise. Whoa!
Well, shitting bricks is a thing for a reason. I stood there, my tail raised, my fur bristling, growling at the two wolves before me. They growled back. Vern rushed me first.
Oh, good.
I rose on my hind legs to meet him, clawing and biting at him. We both drew fair amounts of blood, but then Conrad came to bite at my side. I retreated back from the attack, limping from the fresh wound. As much as my wolf instinct told me to stand my ground, the fact was I was outnumbered. I had something much more important to worry about. I ran to the other side of the table, letting them chase me. I circled around at once, then hopped up onto a table, and before I had a chance to think better of it, I jumped right through the translucent glass of the windows surrounding the meeting room. It was windows! It was glass! Confirmed!
It is, yeah, windows.
Oh my god.
I weirdly called it? Okay.
Yeah,
It's the most efficient way to get out. This is why we need doggy doors. Install doggy doors throughout the office. Just saying.
Wow.
What he should do is go through a glass door and then close it behind him so that the dog goes straight into it. Can confirm it works on dogs. Even when you're not trying to do that. Alright.
Yes. As the glass shattered outward around me, the assorted bankers and stockbrokers jumped back in surprise and then screamed at the sight of a wolf in the building with them. It's not every day.
They're just humouring you, man. They saw the whole thing.
They're there. There's people there. You're fighting in the conference room with a window. My God. I want to watch this side. I want to write this side story of just the guy who works in the office with the stupid boss.
It's the like spin-off to this. My boss is a werewolf. Help me.
Am I writing that down in my notebook? You bet your ass I am.
It's just someone who just has a side story to his werewolf boss having all of this, because it sounds like, oh no, I'm gonna fall in love with my werewolf boss. No, his boss is just the annoyance. It's just throughout the day, this guy's just trying to get his work done, and his boss is like, I've got to have a werewolf pact dispute in the middle of the fucking work, like the open plan office.
Yes, you are neither the billionaire nor the ingenue. You are just Joe Random. It is not every day that you see a wolf on Wall Street. Well, not a real wolf anyway. More running and screaming ensued when two more wolves jumped through the window behind me, and I went running through the crowds of terrified workers. I had to get to Zoe. And that's the end of the chapter. Ooh.
That's the end.
Crowd. There's so many people.
Oh my
here.
God, the next one's so long. The next two are pretty long. How long have we been streaming for? Does it tell you?
It does. Just over an hour.
Okay. We got plenty of time. All right, let's get going on chapter 7. It's Zoe. Okay, it's Zoe. Like a typical secretary, I was just going to make some copies. Nothing out of the ordinary. I was standing over the copy machine when I heard the sound of someone's footsteps behind me. I was just about to turn around and see who was entering the room when the person sent answered that question for me. Every muscle in my body froze in terror. It couldn't be. Not here. Not him. And then came his voice, confirming to my infinite dismay that I wasn't imagining his scent. Hello, Zoe. I didn't want to turn around. I didn't want to see him standing there. I didn't want this to be real, but turn around I did. I staggered backwards, bracing my hands against the copy machine. Lawson! I squeaked in a barely audible voice. Okay, that was a bit loud for barely audible. Whatever.
No matter.
He glared at me with the sharp, flinty eyes that had haunted my dreams. His jaw was set in the scowl he always had for me when I'd done something to displease him. And I had never displeased him like this. Having the gall to dare running away from him, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it does not.
Was not something he was bound to forgive. You led me on one hell of a chase, he said, his voice deep and deliberate, moving slowly closer to me, one step at a time. Across 5 states, one motel on 5 states? That's a good effort. One motel and an apartment after another. Oh, one motel and an apartment, okay. Should have finished the sentence, Sonia. That would have been fucking helpful, eh? Questioning bus drivers and airline employees, you sure kept me busy. By now, he was close enough for me to feel his breath on my face, and he slammed a hand down on the copy machine behind me, making me jump. You, ... are in a lot, ... of trouble. It just makes it sound funnier when I read out the ellipses anyway.
I love it.
I fought to find my breath. I trembled as I looked him in his cold face, and then, somehow, I found it in me to say something I'd never said to Lawson before. No, I'm not. His eyes widened. Say that again. You don't own me anymore. Lawson stared at me and then started to laugh. Wow, I never would have expected it, but you actually picked up some spunk on your travels. I picked up a lot of spunk, actually. Sorry.
That's not canon in the book. Not that last line, anyway. The rest of it is.
I'm ad-libbing. I've got a new man now, I said. Someone who's 10 times the wolf you are. Yeah, I had a look at him. Can't say I blame you for going for a guy with deep pockets. I forgot that meant rich for a second. And I was like, why does he have such big pockets? That's strange.
Bitches turn on by pockets.
But if you're counting on him to come in here and stick his fat, rich snout where it doesn't belong, you're going to be disappointed. Conrad and Vern are currently having a chat with him. A chill went through me when I heard that. I know you just heard that. You're right in front of him. Just say a chill went through me. He grabbed hold of my arm. Now why don't we stop pretending we don't both know how this is going to end and get you back where you belong? I pulled away, struggling against his grasp. Let go of me! He growled, showing me his wolf's eyes and teeth. Don't make me get unpleasant, he rumbled. Please don't get unpleasant, Lawson. Oh, there we go. Okay. I was just slightly reading ahead to see if this got a bit like, but we're good. It's okay.
Okay, we're good. Okay.
No sooner had those words left his snarling mouth than a mass of fur and fangs leapt on him, trying to bite at his jugular as Lawson fought him off. Seconds later, Conrad and Vern burst into the room on 4 legs and grabbed at Marco's hind legs, pulling him off Lawson. As Marco started trying to fight them off, Lawson threw off his jacket and shirt and shifted form before he even bothered to drop his pants, slipping out of them to join the crowd attacking Marco. No! I shouted, rushing and tackling Lawson's lupine form. As soon as I tumbled to get to my feet, I grew out my claws and began ripping my clothes off. And in seconds I was on 4 legs, growling at Lawson. Conrad and Vern started to rush me, but Lawson instantly jumped into their path, warding them off. He wasn't about to let them harm what was his. He turned to look at me, licking his chops. Before I could make any further moves, Marco suddenly shoulder-bashed the copy machine, knocking it over and scattering our attackers. In the chaos, he went dashing for the exit, giving me a soft bark to follow. I did. We ran through the throngs of shocked and panicked employees. Marco was leading with a purpose. I didn't know where he was going, but I followed him. He ran into his office first. I wasn't sure why until his snatched up the keys. This just needed an editor, just a single editor. To the keys to his car in his teeth, and we ran back out. Lawson and his bullies were coming up fast when we emerged. We ran for the stairwell, pushing the door open and hurried down an endless flight of stairs. After what seemed like forever, we finally got down to the parking garage and made a beeline for Marco's car. We shifted back to 2 legs and climbed in, and he started the engine and we peeled away. I reached into the back seat to retrieve some of the spare clothes Marco kept back there for occasions like this, when we had to drive after being 4-legged. We dressed enough to avoid being pulled over while Marco drove us onto the highway. Where are we going? I asked. He remained silent for a little longer than I would have liked. I'll let you know when I figure it out, he said. You didn't need the he said there, but anyway. We know it's him talking.
Yes. That's kind of what I mean. They're just making liberal use of, by the way, he's talking.
Yeah. They don't always use it, but they use it when they don't need to a lot of the time. We drove all... This is Marco again. Okay. We drove all day, finally coming to a stop after nightfall at a motel. We got to our room, where Zoe crashed out on the bed almost immediately. And so it's back to this again, she sighed. I actually let myself think I wouldn't have to do this anymore. I sat down beside her, putting a hand on her downtrodden face and lifting it to look at me. Hey, at least you're not alone this time. She allowed herself a smile and placed her hand on top of the one I had on her face. I love you, Marco. Neither of us was in... He didn't say it back! He didn't say it back. He was just like, well, I'm not in the mood for sex. Bye-bye!
Also, a note, I put my hand on her face doesn't immediately make me think, oh, I'm caressing your cheek. It's making me think splat.
Blap.
Just like a hand on face.
Just a hand on her cheek is all you needed to say.
Yeah.
Just cheek. I love you, Marco. Neither of us was in the mood for sex that night.
Thank
we were both
God.
too shaken after everything that happened. Yeah, thank God for that. I took a bit of time to wrap up the wounds Conrad and Vern had given me. We simply got naked and fell asleep in each other's embrace.
Did you get medical supplies? Is there a first aid kit? Like,
don't need it.
You go
I'm a
into
wolf
details about how
Real
your
men don't need disinfectant.
Your furniture does or does not hold up to sex, but we skip things like I had bandages.
How he got bandages, yeah. We got how she opened the door, but not where he got bandages.
Yep.
I woke up first thing in the morning. I spent a while just watching Zoe sleep, silently adoring her, before I extracted myself from her arms. I dressed myself and took a walk to go buy us some more clothes and a few food items for the road. But when I returned to the room, I could hear Zoe in the shower. Zoe? I called. She didn't answer. I bought us some supplies, I continued. Oh, she's run out. I still heard no response. I decided to sit down and wait for her, proceeding to munch on some of the more sugary foods I just picked up. After a minute or two, the shower shut off, and I heard her step out and start toweling off. Oh, I know she is here, okay.
Yeah, you see that, like,
That would have actually been dramatic, my bad.
It had been something else. Like, if it was someone else in the shower, if it was, like, the bad guy.
Why did she not respond? Yeah.
I don't...
After a minute or two, the shower shut off. Did you hear me? I asked her. She still didn't answer, at least not verbally. She dropped her towel to the floor and looked straight at me with the most intense bedroom eyes I'd ever seen on her. It sounded like she was breathing a little harder than normal. What is it? I asked. She gave me a sly grin. It's time, she said. Time? As in, I'm in heat, she confirmed, and you're still dressed. It didn't take me long to remedy that. We fell onto the bed in a writhing tangle of groping limbs and locked lips. I reached down to rub her, finding her already soaking wet. Her hand shot down to grasp my cock, quickly stroking it to full hardness. The nipples that pressed into my chest were hard as pebbles. She was in no mood to wait. Rocks. Could carve glass with those babies. She made that she was in no mood to wait. She made that very clear when she began tugging my cock, trying to pull it to her opening. I had never gotten inside her more easily than I did right then. And even though she was beneath me, she actually started the fucking motions first, moving her hips back and forth beneath me. Not that it took me long to start my rhythmic thrusting naturally. She threw her head back, gasping with more than one kind of delight.
What?
Apricot delight?
Afternoon delight? Turkish delight?
Yeah, what does that mean? How many delights are there?
17.
It's just delight. I kissed her exposed neck and massaged her breasts as I continued fucking her. Yes, I said massaged wrong on purpose. Her knees came up along my sides, her thighs hugging my waist. This is perfect, she hissed. Don't stop. Never stop.
Why?
She's hissing it. This is perfect. Am I hissing wrong? Hiss.
Hiss.
Usually hiss is like an aggressive way of talking, right?
Yeah, yes.
I sure as hell didn't want to. I pounded away at her, and she was wired up enough that she came the first time within 5 minutes. I mean...
That's not
okay.
Like, that's not that quick.
No, that's a while for, like, I don't know.
Like, if you're up and ready to go... Like it doesn't take long.
if you're already like soaking, like your body's pretty responsive. Doesn't take that much zhuzh. Maybe you're just really bad at it, mate. I don't know. I slowed down while she spasmed around my invading prick. Oh, don't use the word invading when it comes to sex. But I didn't stop. She recovered from her first orgasm and urged me on to give her more. I succeeded in giving her a second one before I thrust forward a final time and released a load of spunk inside her. Jesus Christ.
This is not written by a woman. If this was written by a woman, I'm going to be horrified. So, yes.
I collapsed on top of her, letting the sweat cool on our bodies. Spunk is not a sexy word.
No.
Not even a little.
And I got nothing. I think
that's a bit of that.
There's so many sex scenes, I'm like burned out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? I don't have any further thoughts. I'm just like, fine. Whatever.
His words are bad. The writing is bad. Actually, no. You know what I'm actually annoyed about? That they had sort of almost managed to set up a tone. It was like tense and like there was just stakes and panic happening. Suspense for once, and then like, now we're gonna go fuck now. No.
Yep.
No plot.
We took a minute to catch our breath before she lifted my head up and gave me the look of a hungry predator. That was round 1, she said. Suddenly I was nervous. I mean, that's fair enough, mate. She pushed me onto my back and dove for my crotch, inhaling... Okay, I need a second before I can read this sentence. Inhaling my deflating prick into her mouth. It doesn't work that way.
No.
You need a bit of time. It only took a matter of seconds for her skilled and practiced mouth to get the blood flowing out of my cock to reverse its direction.
Oh my god. Okay.
Is she a masseuse? Is she just like, reverse blood flow?
Another anatomy lesson, kids. That's not how that works. There's a chemical release that happens, and that's why things can't come back up.
And yeah, it doesn't matter how quote unquote skilled and practiced you are. It doesn't work. That doesn't work.
Although, fun fact, some people don't get that particular hormone, and so they can keep going and going and going like a woman can.
Maybe this guy can.
Maybe
he's just...
But so far, he's been pretty canon about the fact that he loses his erection after one go. Why is it so different now? I need answers, CJ!
She raised her eyes to look at me with all the love and devotion that had consumed her as her tongue danced around the hardening head. And when she had me hard enough, she removed her mouth and climbed aboard, mounting herself above me and fisting my cock to aim at her slit.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Hate that word.
Lowering down to stuff herself full of me, she took off riding. My hands came up to grasp her breasts, and she brought her own up to intertwine our fingers. As one, we both squeezed and groped at her firm breasts, making her moan louder and her hips move faster. She eventually leaned forward, draping her breasts over my chest and brushing her nipples back and forth over me as she continued to move atop me. Swoop, swoop,
I'm just picturing like left, right, left, right.
Swoop, whoop. Just drawing pictures on your chest.
Etch a sketch.
She brought her head down to capture my lips, sucking my tongue into her mouth.
Sucking my tongue into her mouth. Like, it's a straw?
Honey, can you let go, please? I need that. I gripped hold of her firm butt cheeks as they... I don't know why I said it like that. As they moved back and forth on my lap. Firm butt cheeks. When I emptied myself into her again, she allowed me a break this time. She collapsed on top of me and we caught our breath again. Then she asked, "So what did you get us for breakfast?" "Well," I said, still not sure I had the strength to get up yet. "There's some ham and egg sandwiches in there." "Go get them," she said. "You're going to need your strength up today." I turned a raised eyebrow to her while she only grinned mischievously. "Oh yeah, baby," she purred. We are not going anywhere."
Okay.
Wow. That was a lot.
That was a lot.
We only have 2 chapters left. This is just going to be like, they were convenient, like, Lawson and co. were conveniently run over by a car on the way. The end.
Probably. We also have an epilogue, I guess.
True. It's probably going to be like, we have so many puppies. It's like 101 Dalmatians.
Okay, in human form, do you have one baby or do you have a litter?
We'll find out. Let's keep reading. The mystery is on.
All right, chapter 8, and for some unknown reason, they've for sure like the formatting. We don't have a chapter title. It just says chapter 8.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
Also, do you remember how it had those weird like mini sentences that were beginning the chapters? We don't have them anymore.
Meh.
Or am I thinking of the wrong book?
The editor just gave up halfway through.
Maybe that was
like, fuck it.
Rough and Ready. Might have been Rough and Ready.
Yeah, I think it was Rough and Ready, actually, yeah.
Okay.
That's what you're thinking of.
And that's my bad. Alright. Zoe voice, up all nice and high. Hi!
Hi! I'm Zoe! Hi!
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 I meant what I said. Marco and I did not leave the motel room all day. I wanted him as many times as I could get him. After we ate a quick breakfast, I got on all fours on the bed and told him to take me again. I groaned as he took hold of my hips and filled me up from behind. As he thrust into me, I reached down to rub my throbbing clit, while he reached underneath me to palm my swaying breasts. Again, he's grabbing the tits, but just...
He's gone for the titties and not for... whatever.
And a moment to appreciate the fact that they're fucking right after breakfast. That shit gotta be uncomfortable.
Yeah, my tummy is full. Don't jiggle me around.
It's like swimming. You have to wait half an hour.
Can't do that when there's babies to be made.
I climaxed again from that, before his third load of the day splashed inside me, and then I wanted to suck him back to hardness again for more. But he insisted he needed to rest for a while, and offered to do that courtesy for me instead. Okay, what the hell? Okay, here we go. Finally, he's putting in some effort into the...
Is this the first time he's pleasured her in this entire book?
Yes.
I think it might be. I don't know, I'm not willing to go back and check.
No, neither. Next thing, I was on my back with his face between my legs, and my fingers were digging into his scalp while his lips and tongue made magic with my sex. I kicked my legs back and forth across the bed, screaming out my pleasure loud enough to most likely be heard by everyone in the motel. He ate me two more orgasms before I begged him to please tell me he was hard again. Thankfully, he was, and he climbed atop me for round 4. The whole time, he was filling me up with his stiff manhood. I couldn't help thinking about all the previous times I'd gone into heat in my life. Until now, it had always seemed like a problem, something I had to put a cap on. Suddenly losing control of my sex drive, being unable to resist the advances of any man I met, having to make especially sure I would use whatever contraceptives I could get my hands on, it had always resulted in things I was not happy about afterwards. During the time I had been on the run, I remembered going into heat and having to settle for hooking up with a stranger in a bar whose name I couldn't even remember now, simply because my body had demanded that I fuck somebody. Now here I was, embracing it, taking advantage of it, actually trying to become pregnant. All it took was the right guy. Afterwards, we stopped for lunch, followed by some shower sex.
Yes, you do.
Sorry, just the total whiplash of, oh yes, fuck me, it's what my body needs, I'm having an entire sexual awakening. And then we got some lunch, and then we fucked in the shower.
Hey, look, you gotta keep your stamina up, alright?
But I just, there's not even a break. There's barely even like a paragraph break.
Nope. I love how these aren't even sex scenes. She's just talking about them bonking nonstop.
Yeah, I have actually noticed most of the sex scenes that they go into detail have always been from his perspective.
Yeah.
Anyway, Marco wanted to wash off some of the sweat we'd built up. I agreed, so long as we built up a little more doing it. Wink, wink. I don't think the wink, wink is needed, honey.
The wink, wink was not necessary. At this point in this book, we get it. We don't need the wink, wink. We know what you mean. You may as well have written, if you know what I mean. Like, fucking hell.
He soon had me standing under the hot spray of water with my hands planted on the wall while he grubbed my hips, ravaging me from behind. We eventually got to some actual washing, if you want to call it that, namely involving him getting his hands lathered with soap and rubbing them all over my body. Apparently he thought my breasts were the part most in need of washing. I wasn't inclined to argue. I don't know if I can't read
Such
that
a tin
sentence,
man.
or is my brain just rejecting that sentence?
It's a lot. It's a lot in a sentence.
And then he lifted me into his arms and pinned me against the wall, and I wrapped my legs around his waist and lowered myself onto his thick pole. We ended up taking...
Just say dick or cock. Like... Just say it. Just say the word. You don't have to come up with all of these fucking, like, thick pole. Sorry.
Maybe one day we'll start playing Dick Bingo. All the different
Dick
words.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Dingo. Dingo.
We're Australian. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm tempted. One day we'll play Dick Bingo one day.
Yeah, we'll come up with the spots first. Anyway, carry on.
Yes. What the fuck was I? Okay. We ended up taking a nap.
Pole.
Yeah, we ended up taking a nap after that to recover our strength, and upon waking, got back down to business.
Getting down to business. Getting down. And sorry. Wow.
By the end of the day, Marco had given me a total of 8 sperm loads. I had to say
that is so sexy.
Mm-hmm.
What a hot way to put that. He had given me 8 sperm loads. He gave me a sperm delivery.
And then my voucher expired. I had to say I was amazed at his endurance, not to mention my own. I was definitely going to be sore for a few days, but it was all worth it, especially if it worked. Thank you, I whispered to him, cradling his head to my breast. Thank you for this. Today was perfect. And I drifted off to sleep thinking that thought.
You know what's funny?
Mm-hmm.
Zoe is the one saying all these, like, today was perfect and I love you, and he never responds.
No, he doesn't.
Never. It always just skips over whatever the fuck he was going to say, if he says anything. It implies that he just says nothing to these things, which is deeply funny to me. She's like, I love you, and he's like, pat, pat, bye.
Pat, pat. More dick, please. Actually, no, she's the one really driving it, so I can't even say that.
True. She's the one who's like, insert dick, please. Insert into receptacle and produce load.
And produce baby.
That's the sexiness we're reduced to now. Produce load, please.
Mm-hmm. Like a weird laundry machine.
You just put the coins in.
It sort of vibrates back and forth for a little bit, and then pop! Alrighty.
Anyway, you got more. More Marco.
I do have more Marco. This time, Zoe was the first to wake the next morning. I woke up to find her standing, still naked by the sink, brushing her teeth. She spit out the paste and saw me moving. "Good morning," she beamed. "Morning," I mumbled. After the workout she gave me yesterday, I felt about 80 getting out of bed. I staggered to my feet and went to get my clothes. "You going somewhere?" she asked as I started to dress. "Just gonna go out for some air," I said. "Need some after yesterday," I added with a smirk. She smirked back at me. This dialogue is so stilted. I hate it so much. I strode outside, wandering aimlessly about. It had been a long time since I hadn't been certain where I would be tomorrow. The last time the future had been a question mark was after I left my pack. But even though I couldn't know what was ahead now, all I could really feel right then was a sense of elation. Whatever the future would bring, I would have Zoe beside me, and quite possibly our pup. I would have expected that thought to terrify me. It didn't. All it made me feel was hopeful. I happened to wander to my car and start leaning against it as I pondered my thoughts, and then I picked up a scent I hadn't noticed before. It smelled like a dead animal, which wouldn't have been strange had it not smelled like it was coming from my car. I followed it to the underside of the back of the car, where I looked low enough to discover a dead raccoon that had been chained and bolted on. I furrowed my brow, trying to determine why someone would do that, unless... was entering ... unless someone was deliberately creating a scent trail to follow. I lifted my head, sniffing the air ... I don't think I can do it as funny as you can. I don't have the flair. They were here.
You gotta really, like, draw it out. ...
It's also, again, I'm just, as soon as it's in the middle of, like, I'm lost in thought, I'm wandering about aimlessly, tra-la-la, through the daisies, I'm like, I don't give a shit. Can I skip this entire fucking passage? I'm so bored. Anyway, they were here. I was just turning to bolt back to the room when the hulking shape of Vern jumped out of nowhere and pinned me against the car. I thought you'd never come out of that flea bag. I was good till you start laughing.
I just read the sentence and it made me laugh.
Fleabag room, punk. Conrad.
Punk. Nothing says terrifying like calling someone punk. Why yoda? Oh, funny.
Conrad appeared the next second. Gotta agree with my Cro-Magnon companion here, he said. You made us wait a long time for you. Frankly, I'm afraid we're no longer in the mood to be civil. Where's Lawson? I spat. Conrad shrugged. Right now, I'd imagine he's getting reacquainted with the lady in question. He's pretty attached to his things, you know, and not overly forgiving to people who take them either. And with that, Vern slammed a fist into my gut, knocking the wind out of me. I doubled over, straining to regain my breath. I lifted my head, looking back to their leering faces. Some kind of alpha he is, I rasped, needing thugs like you to fight his battles for him. Vern pushed me upright to glower at me. He's an alpha who inspires loyalty. Something your bitch apparently forgot. I smacked at him. Loyalty. Hope that's a comfort to you. I threw up a knee, hitting Vern in the crotch to make him release me. I grew out my claws and slashed Conrad across the face and went running for the room. But faster than I would have thought possible, Conrad and Vern were on four legs and poised in front of me, creating a wall of angry teeth between me and where Zoe was. Then they charged at me. I turned and started stripping as I ran, shifting to four legs. I had to find a way to lose them and get back to Zoe, somehow. And we have another break. More than I ever had in my life, this morning I felt beautiful. That's a tonal change and a half. It's like fighting. I feel beautiful. I'm so pretty.
I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty.
My look hadn't changed, not really, but something felt different. I was beautiful in Marco's eyes, and when I looked at myself in the mirror today, I felt like I could see what he saw. Also, I couldn't stop touching my belly. I didn't really know we had succeeded, not on an intellectual level. But some part of me just knew that we had. I couldn't explain it, but I was certain. The door to the room started opening. I turned to greet Marco as he returned, and Lawson barged into the room. I barely had time to shriek in surprise before he was standing over me, grabbing me by the wrist. I shuddered as he looked up and down at my nakedness. What's the voice for Lawson? It's just like low creepy, right?
Yeah, just creep.
Already unwrapped and waiting for me. I like that. I can't do creepy, I just can't. I can
well. Hello!
I'm a slightly camp-coded villain. Already unwrapped and ready for me. I like that. I struggled to pull away from him. How did you find us? You don't really think you'd ever be out of my reach, did you? He leered. I'm your alpha, and it's what I do. You'll always belong to me, Zoe. I gritted my teeth and shook my head. No, I don't belong to you. I never belong to you. You just keep telling yourself that, baby. See how it works out for you. You're too late, Lawson, I said as levelly as I could. Too late? I already went into heat, and I'm already carrying a pup, and it's not yours. He clearly hadn't been expecting that from the way his brow furrowed. He yanked me closer to him. You better be lying, he snarled. I kept my voice steady. I'm not. You've got no more claim on me. I belong to him now. He studied me for a long time, sniffing at me, trying to determine if I was really telling the truth. The more time ticked by, the more his face contorted into a scowl. Finally, he seemed to realize it was true. He growled angrily in his throat and shoved me hard, throwing me across the room. I looked up from where I lay on the floor at him. That may be, he said. But only one thing to do about that, then. He turned to head back out the door and started to strip. A cold fear swept through me. What are you going to do? What do you think? I'm going to find that bow of yours, and I'm going to show him what happens when you take what's mine. He dropped his clothes and shifted to 4 legs and went loping off. He was going after Marco. He was going to kill him. And that's the end of chapter 8. They're
getting shorter.
They are getting shorter. The amount of just, pathetic, just statements coming out of her. Oh no, what are you going to do? Are you going to kill him? I just have a thought. Woman, please, have a little bit of agency.
No, I refuse. All right. My turn. Who is it? It's Marco. Okay. Yes. Without thinking twice, I shifted to 4 legs and bolted out the open door. I tried to lead my pursuers in circles as much as I could, not wanting to put too much distance between me and Zoe. It's just like Benny Hill theme, running around a big circle. I wove past tree after tree, jumping over and around every obstacle I could find in my efforts to slow them down. I was about to run into the street, but stopped short at the sight of a big truck barreling down it in my direction. That stop was all I needed for my pursuers to finally catch up to me. I turned to see them land a mere few feet away, growling menacingly at me. They dared me to make a move. ... Any move. ... I looked back, seeing the truck still coming that was bound to hit me if I tried to run, and I saw the trees next to me that were probably blocking any view that Conrad and Vern had of the oncoming vehicle. I dashed out into the street as fast as I could, raced against fate towards the other side. Conrad and Vern ran after me. I felt the whoosh of air as the truck narrowly barreled right behind my tail, and I heard the twin splats that indicated the 2 of them hadn't been so lucky.
Yikes!
The truck had screeched to a stop. Yeah! Remember how I joked about them getting run over? Apparently I'm fucking psychic.
Because I was blanching a little bit at the dead raccoon bolted to the underside of the car. I was like, oh boy, that's a content warning. But, yeah, no, let's just straight up run over 2 dogs. Okay. On purpose.
Yep. I mean, they were people, technically. But
and that's true.
Yes,
they're
also,
werewolves. Dogs / humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I'll just envision that they look like Professor Lupin in Prisoner of Azkaban, that really ugly, creepy looking thing. Then it's not so bad. That fucking werewolf scared the shit out of me back in the day.
Oh, it's still terrifying.
He looks creepy. He looks so creepy.
I really like that design. Because it also looks human-y.
It looks... Yeah, and looks like it could hurt you.
I'll be honest,
a lot of it's like, when they're just a doggo, it's like, aw.
Yeah, my least favorite werewolf design is just straight up it's a wolf. I was like, no.
Even worse is just, it's a wolf on 2 legs. I'm like, ugh. Yawn.
Oh, what about the Teen Wolf style where they're still wearing, like, the shorts?
That's kind of funny, though.
I know. I like the Van Helsing werewolf, personally.
I haven't seen Van Helsing.
Really?
Yeah. Go figure.
All right. I'm not going to let that derail. I'm going to get back on track.
The trucker screeched to a stop as I made it to the other side of the road. As the driver climbed out to see what he just hit, I loped off. Oh god, imagine if they turned back into people afterwards, after they died.
Oh my god.
Oh. Well, you just scarred that trucker for life, potentially. But anyway. Back to Zoe. It turned out I wouldn't get as far as I'd hoped. I'd barely made it halfway back when the great lupine shape that was Lawson leaped out of the bush, jaws open to attack. I reared back to meet him, bristling my fur and showing my teeth. We dashed in and out, snapping at each other, searching for any advantage we could gain. Zoe was right about one thing. Lawson wasn't an alpha for nothing. His attacks were fierce and aggressive, and he had a clear advantage in size. Turning this into a dick measuring contest, huh?
So
he was pressing that advantage heavily. Yeah. Bearing down on me with all his weight and strength. I was going to have to keep my distance and rely on quick attacks and agility, but Lawson also had the advantage of experience. He knew how to fight far better than I ever did. I soon realized he was anticipating my moves and countering them. I would never normally fight over a woman, but Zoe was the rare exception. Why add that line? What? You're like, just in case you forgot that I'm a dick, here you go. I don't care about any woman who is not my girlfriend.
And where is Zoe in all this?
She's just chilling. She's waiting. She's like, yeah, I'll just chill here. Someone will come back for me in a minute. Ultimately, I started coming in for what I thought would be a sure attack on his side, but Lawson twisted out of the way, and before I could even see what happened, he lunged hard, biting deep into the junction of my neck and shoulder. Ooh, yikes. I yelped in pain and tumbled back. That definitely hurt. Well, yeah, no shit. I tried to get up, but the pain in my shoulder was too much to put my weight on, and suddenly, involuntarily, I had shifted back to 2 legs. Lawson padded up to me, licking his chops. I was sure he was about to finish me off, but it turned out he wanted to taunt me first. Oh, is he going to start monologuing? He shifted back to 2 legs and looked down at me with a mocking grin. So, this is what she ran out on me for, huh? You know, I've brought down bunnies with more fight than you. Between you and me, just what did she see in you, anyway? I glared up at him. A future, I answered.
They're also both having this while they're just naked in the forest.
Yeah.
Bit gay,
They're just
bro.
2 guys naked in the forest, yelling at, like, snapping at each other. He laughed. Your future doesn't look so hot now, tough guy. He shifted to 4 legs again and opened his jaws for the kill, when the dark shape of Zoe's 4-legged form rushed in, sinking her teeth into his side. I'm kind of glad that she's the one that gets to do this.
That makes so much sense. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank God she's not just sitting in the hotel room. Your
like,
princess is in another castle.
Yeah. Lawson struggled against her, trying to bite back, but unable to reach her. Finally, he stumbled away from her, limping on his right side, before he shifted to 2 legs and put a hand into the deep, bloody wound in his side, wincing at the pain. Oh, to the wound. I thought he put his hand in the wound. I was like, what are you doing? You fucking psycho?
Hey, it's my guts! In we go!
Poised in front of me, Zoe resumed her 2-legged form. You'll have to go through me first, Lawson, she declared. You don't want to kill your prize, do you? Lawson scowled, still nursing his wound. He looked back and forth between the 2 of us and finally looked straight at me and said, Don't get too comfortable. She's only safe until that pup is born. I will take back what's mine. Lawson shifted back to 4 legs and limped away. It would have been more satisfying to see his tail between his legs, but sadly it wasn't. Well, good thing you brought that up. As soon as he was gone, Zoe turned and kneeled over to me. Kneeled over to me? Did she walk on her knees to you?
I have no
Kneeled
idea.
is a downward action. You don't kneel towards someone. Oh God, you're hurt! I grunted through a half smile. It's not that bad. I've been bit worse. 'Tis but a scratch. A scratch? Your arm's off. No, it isn't. She moved around to my other side and lifted me up by my good arm, which she slung over her shoulder and started walking me away. Come on, let's go find something to treat it. I smiled at her, and then thought about our situation. You know, it occurs to me we're still naked, I said. Might want to figure out how to handle this before someone sees us. Let them get an eyeful, she grinned. Awesome.
Cool.
Epilogue time! Yay! That wasn't an ending. Is this a series?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, well, let's read the epilogue and
we need answers, CJ. What you doing,
epilogue
CJ?
First. CJ, right. Give me the book, CJ.
Epilogue. The test confirmed what I was already sure of. I was pregnant. I was beaming when I came into the bedroom with the positive test. It's for sure now, I said to Marco, who was already between the sheets waiting for me. We're going to have a pup. He grinned back at me. Never had any doubt, he said. I lifted the sheets to climb in with him, planting a kiss on him and snuggling against his chest. Have you thought of any names yet? He asked. I shook my head. Haven't thought about the future that much. In a way, though, that was a lie. What?
Plot twist, I lied.
I want to call it Darren. Or Keith.
Classic dog name. Keith. Keith the werewolf.
In a way, though, that was a lie.
Call it Cher, and then it's a Sharewolf.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Oh,
I'm Cher, bitch.
Oh, woo.
Oh, woo. Oh, dear me.
I want to write down Sharewolf.
Sharewolf?
Yes, actually I am. I'm going to write down Sharewolf.
Sharewolf.
Sharewolf. Along with Help My Boss is a Werewolf.
Help My Boss is a Werewolf.
Sharewolf. There we go. It's written down.
Awesome.
Uh-huh. I had been
I'm going to make you rich one day with all of my rich ideas.
I gotta go back to the beginning of this thought. Okay. In a way, though, that was a lie. I had been thinking about the future. A lot. I had thought about what would happen when my pup was born and Lawson came back looking for me again. We still have a lot of thinking to do about how we would handle that. The next time he came, he would surely bring more than just 2 followers. He might even bring the whole pack with him. Old friends, family, people I grew up with, all under orders to bring me back to him. And who knew what he might do with my pup. Would he even go that far? I just didn't know. Marco seemed to sense my worry and rubbed my back. We've got time, he said. We'll be able to prepare for whatever comes next. How can you be so confident? I asked, still feeling the hold of fear that had guided me so long. He chuckled. I couldn't have gotten to be top trader at my firm if I wasn't, he said. Whatever it takes, we'll beat him. I allowed myself to shed a happy tear. What did I do to deserve you? Abso-fucking-nothing. You did nothing. I'm sorry, you did nothing. You demonstrated that you're really good in the sack. That's what.
Wow!
Yes, that's an actual line in the book.
At least he's honest about it.
It says he joked. I don't think
joke, right?
He's not joking, though. We know
That's not a joke. They have nothing else in common.
We've been in his head. That's literally what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I laughed, and I kissed him. He shifted his weight on top of me, beginning to palm my breast. I moaned into his mouth and spread my legs. The future wasn't certain. It never was.
I only want you for sex, he joked. Now have sex with me.
I had spent so long running away from my future, never knowing what I was running to. But Marco had always made his own future, even at the cost of his pack. Maybe with him, I had a chance to create my own future too. We've still got time to do plenty of other things too, he smirked, reaching his hand to plunge a finger into my sopping wet pussy. He ducked his head down, sucking off one of my stiff nipples into his mouth. Whatever. I gasped and stroked his stiffening cock. Why is there a sex scene in the epilogue? I mean, I was expecting it, but still, why?
I don't know what you expected. Gotta get one last one in there. It's all these two have in common, let's be real.
It is. We are actively demonstrating the entirety of their relationship, so I guess in that form it works. What the fuck was I?
You're right, I looked at him straight in the eyes.
Yes, I looked him straight in the eyes, imploring him. Don't ever leave me, I begged, my hips squirming about as my hand attempted to aim his cock to its target. Never, baby. Never, baby, he assured me, pushing forward to sink his cock into me. Oh, yes! I hissed as he slid inside.
There's not enough S's.
Oh, yes!
Oh, yes!
I gripped him in my arms and legs like I never wanted to let him go, and I never would.
Here's that tonal whiplash we spoke about. There's one last section.
They made me sick. Sitting in the shadows in that balcony.
Me too, buddy. Me too.
Watching the two of them through that window, seeing them rolling around in that bed, I wanted to vomit.
Watching them through the window? What a fucking weirdo! You're just like, look at them having sex, rolling around. How dare they?
It was just a travesty that I had to go to these lengths and that lesser beasts like them didn't instinctively know their place. I shouldn't have had to teach it to them, Zoe especially. I had done everything I could to make her understand where she belonged, and yet there she was in bed with a yuppie stockbroker who didn't even have his own pack. She was blatantly disregarding every lesson I ever taught her about who she was and what her place was. And the way she smiled at him, ... I just burned with rage. When I finally got her back to my den, I was never going to let her out again. Footsteps approached across the balcony, and I ducked back out of view out the window. "Who's there?" asked the bodyguard, patrolling the grounds. He shined a flashlight around, falling on my face, and he relaxed. "Oh, it's you," he said. "Yes, Hugh, it's me," I grumbled impatiently. "Did you get my instructions?" "Of course, Lawson," the guard said. "And your employer doesn't suspect anything?" He shrugged. "Mr. Lupus hardly pays attention to his security detail anyway." I grinned. I knew he was a moron. I turned and started off, walking past the guard. "Be sure to clean the places I've always been, like you always do." Clean the places I've been, like you always do. I don't want to leave a scent trail. He groaned in displeasure. "Hey," I snapped, pointing a finger at him. "Don't forget what I pay you for." "Of course not," he sighed. "Just keep doing your job, and don't let him catch you doing it," I reminded him. "At least not until he knows who's killing him." As he nodded, I walked away, wincing at the pain in my side. Zoe needed to be taught another lesson, and as soon as that twit she was with was out of the way, she would be. The end.
Done.
For now. With 4 dots. A 4-dot ellipsis.
That is too many.
To find out how it all ends, get the full Wall Street Werewolf trilogy.
There's a trilogy.
Apparently.
Of course there is. Oh God. Are we obligated to continue this now? Do we need to wander out wander out? Do we have to complete the saga of the Wall Street Werewolf?
I think
that's something we have to do.
I feel like we might.
Oh,
we need
God.
answers,
see if we can get
CJ. CJ. I feel like I want to do it just because I want to keep saying CJ. CJ. We need answers, CJ. That's not how anatomy works, CJ.
look, this wasn't as bad as Rough and Ready.
This
okay,
was not as bad
it
as
could
Rough
have
and
been
Ready.
so much worse.
Oh boy,
it wasn't that bad. It was bad, but it wasn't that bad.
I
At least, like,
I didn't
I'm
feel
glad
so bad.
that Zoe got to fucking kick the shit out of Lawson, at least.
True.
Like, that
she
was
bit a
like
chunk out of him.
minimum level involvement for her.
Yes, she bit a chunk out of him, and it was great. Yes, I didn't feel so bad reading out like all the racial stuff that was in Rough and Ready. That was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh god, I'm stuck in the low voice now. Oh my god.
Yes.
Having to read I was just trying to picture Scar. Just picture Scar.
Be prepared.
Yes.
Anyway.
Oh, I should practice my curtsy. All right. Final thoughts on the book. What you think?
Final thoughts. Well, I think I already summed it up with it wasn't that bad. The writing was bad. The sex scenes were numerous, but it could have been a lot worse. It was pretty stock standard as far as erotica goes. Like, we got a couple of good laughs out of it, which is always a good... It's better when we're laughing as opposed to going,
True. There were at least 10 to 12 sex scenes in that book, which means out of 40 pages and only 34 of them or so were actually written pages. That means there's about a sex scene every 3 pages or so. That's a lot.
I mean, look, people don't come to these books for sense. Let's be real. Like, we don't come here for coherent plot. Coherent plot is like a happy accident if it happens, but that's not why people come to these sorts of stories. It's for the smooshin'. So, yes. You know, it makes sense that there is so much of it, but it doesn't really follow the Harlequin thing though, because the Harlequin thing is that they only have sex like once or twice max throughout an entire book.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of very much a new thing of the like, nah, let's just let them have sex as much as they want. Fuck it.
Because the Harlequin, they were very like religiously oriented, weren't they?
Yes. Well, Harlequin have a whole section on like Christian romance now.
Yeah.
Because I've sort of looked into writing that stuff because, you know, why not? But they have like very strict standards that you have to meet. They have a whole genre that's just billionaire romances. Like, that's it. Like, that's a whole thing that you can write for. Which is very strange. But, you know, people like it, so whatever. But I feel like you can only write so many believable situations where someone is a billionaire and not like Jeff Bezos. You know? They own Amazon. It's sexy Jeff Bezos.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's fine. Like, I would happily read the next one of this without being too hesitant. I think it would be a good laugh.
I will see if I can track it down. This is an old PDF I've had in my storage for years. I don't even remember where I got it.
Yeah.
But I'll have a look. See what else
that just
CJ
means
has to
that
offer.
the trilogy is probably complete by now, so we can... maybe there's like an anthology of them. Who knows? We'll find out.
Well, according to the copyright notice, which I'm luckily just on the screen for, this book that we just read was published in 2014. So as long as he can write 40 pages in, 8 years? We've probably got a second one.
Almost
Let's
definitely.
see how that goes. I did appreciate that the race stuff with Zoe came up less throughout the book. They mentioned it a lot at the beginning, that she was dark-skinned, and then they don't bring it up again.
I was thinking that, actually. I was like, it's nice that they brought it up a few times, then it just sort of fizzles out as it stops being worth noting, I suppose. Like, he sort of mentions it a few times when they start having sex, like the color of her skin and stuff, and then I guess it just becomes less noteworthy as it goes on. Which it honestly shouldn't be that noteworthy to begin with, because, you know, people are just people. It's just, don't need to fetishize it. Okay? But yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was Seduced by the Wall Street Werewolf, part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Unless you have any thoughts you'd like to share on it? Or is it just similar to my thoughts?
I kind of hope that if we get into the sequels, that maybe Marco has learned how to give a little bit more pleasure than he gets.
Oh my god, right? I swear to God, if the next first sex scene in the next one has her fucking touching herself while he's fucking her, I'm going to yeet that PDF so fucking hard. Like, come on, Marco. Come on. I know you like the boobies, but you have 2 hands. You can still have the boobie and pleasure her. You know?
Yes.
Like,
do both.
Multitask, man. Come on.
It's doable. People do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Or at least go down
Marco's
on her
like,
more than once.
I'm the god of sex, but doesn't fucking
I am the good of lying there. And occasionally thrusting.
I am good at thrusting and nothing else.
But yes, a little bit more that stuff. I don't know. Maybe CJ's quality of book improves over time. We've seen stranger things happen. It's possible.
True.
I'll see if I can. I don't even know what it's called. If there is a sequel, maybe it's just Seduced by the Wall Street Werewolf 2. Yeah.
Electric Boogaloo. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
We will.
If not, plenty of stuff to read. Plenty of fish in that cesspool of a sea.
Yes. I do have my little tasting menu of random erotica that I have compiled. Yes, I think that probably wraps us up for today. Huh.
Sounds good to me.
All right. If you listen to the stream, firstly, thank you for listening. We always do appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us your thoughts on the Wall Street Werewolf if your thoughts were different to ours. And then, other than that, we'll just see you next time. We stream roughly once a week. And yeah, that's it. Sign off.
Bye.
And where's the button?